Discover solutions to issues that affect your family and professional life with practical information to help you get past life's adversities. Take a proactive approach to power up your life with Rosalie's expert resources.
Our crew teamed up in the community with the Archer Disability Foundation, state agency directors, business leaders, and the Small Business Development Center at Palm Beach State College to pull all resources by presenting the first of a series of outreach events that educate the public, employers, families and advocates, and HR directors to the talents and contributions offered by the most underutilized labor pool in our state, people with disabilities.
So before we get going, let's give Rosalie a little bit of love here.
First, Rosalie, I want to say thank you for inviting me here.
Oh, my pleasure.
This has been a fantastic experience so far.
We've had a lot of fun, and yes, you do make me crazy when it comes time for it, because she's got a lot more energy, a lot more ideas.
And my best friend Joe, who happens to be Rosalie's husband, said, why don't you talk to my wife? She has an idea.
And we've got all kinds of great things and collateral for you because we want to educate you today. But one lady's already said, I have a product that needs to be assembled and I would like to hire a person with a disability. I'm saying, yes, yes. So we're going to hook her up. We're going to teach her all about what needs to be done. And before she knows it, she's going to have the right match for her job. Opening the event was City of Boca Raton Councilwoman and entrepreneur Constance Scott, who kicked off the event with a city proclamation.
Less than 20% of the people with disabilities are employed in the labor force, compared to nearly 70% of persons with no disability. And whereas only 10% of Florida students with disabilities graduate from high school with some form of employment, and 70% are still unemployed 2 years after graduation, and whereas unlike their able peers, persons with disabilities confront employment barriers and false perceptions which limit their job growth potential, and whereas today's workforce development event will provide businesses large and small with the tools to assist them in creating a diverse workplace that includes persons with disabilities, now therefore I, Councilwoman Constance Scott, on behalf of Susan Whelchel, Mayor of the City of Boca Raton, do hereby congratulate all of those involved in disabilities building an inclusive workshop through leadership, and commend those businesses in our community and across the state and nation that are recruiting and employing the talents of persons with disabilities.
The pain is here. No matter what doctor you speak to, no matter how you feel your daily pain, and there is pain involved, that there are support systems that are in place. But if you don't know about that, then you have a huge issue.
I don't think anyone goes through life without having someone in their immediate family or friend circle that doesn't have someone with mental, physical, intellectual, emotional problems. That would be a miracle. So I know I have them in my family and friends, and I've encountered it and have always been sensitive to it.
Rosalie, truly, thank you. To be here with this community is truly my honor, my privilege, and really the energy that I get to get up every single day to be a part of events like this. Because when this journey began for me, there were not community relations. Folks with disabilities did not go to college. Rarely were we working, and quite frankly, very few individuals knew what vocational rehab, centers for independent living, or even the Agency for Persons with Disabilities.
Coming to Voc Rehab from the public mental health system was just a real blessing that occurred about 3 years ago, and it's a privilege because I didn't know, and I should have known because of all the other work that I've done, what Voc Rehab can do for people.
The council has been around, and we're federally mandated, and we are also in state statute here in Florida. Every state has a statewide independent living council that helps to remove attitudinal and architectural barriers for people with disabilities. The Centers for Independent Living here in Florida, we have 16 centers. The centers have the responsibility, federal mandated responsibility to provide 4 core services. And those services are information and referral.
Well, actually, our story is a little different. We kind of started as a small business and managed to be successful in what we were doing. Basically, we're providing a service for a diabetic population that has a need here in the community and also throughout the United States. And as we decided to take it to the next level and hire, right now in the process of hiring close to 100 employees.
October will be our 5th year as state sponsors of Florida Disability Mentoring Day. We do participate throughout the state of Florida where our staffing specialists work with the different liaisons in the different counties. So we reach out to all the liaisons, as many as we can, and we work with them in trying to place mentees in our stores. And I can tell you, even last year, we had over 500 mentees in our public stores, including the corporate office. I actually coordinate Disability Mentoring Day at our corporate offices, where we had mentees participate in various departments based on their interests. We are, I'm a strong advocate in making sure that they are placed in an area that they're interested in, because it's about them, not about what we have to offer. So it's been a great partnership, and we look forward to next year as well.
The other practice that I think is very helpful, particularly with young people, has to do with internships. And if you can get a young person into your business through an internship, and we've done some of these in the summer, it is another great way to link the business and for the business to see what this is all about.
That's basically how we recruit. We just go out and we talk about our culture and our history, and we don't limit. No one's limited. You just come in and apply, and we do the best we can. We have openings to get you placed.
Now my goal is to continue working at Publix and complete my education at Palm Beach State College, to get a degree in communication sciences and become a successful videographer.
The owner of the small business had 6 children, all boys, and 4 of them were developmentally disabled. And they would be at the workplace with me throughout the day, and he had to make service calls or whatnot. So I got to get to know them. I got to be one-on-one with them and help them with their classes. Because they were still attending some special education classes, as they were referred to in Michigan. And it was really empowering. It really opened my eyes to what they were capable of doing.
There's research that I'm aware of that just came out that says that companies employing individuals with disabilities gain several advantages over other businesses, including skilled employees. Employees with disabilities learn to persevere and develop problem-solving, planning, and people skills as part of managing a disability. Solid performance. Statistically, employees with disabilities have better retention rates, cost savings. Workers with disabilities are consistently rated average or better in performance, quality, quantity of work, flexibility, and attendance. I mean, we don't need a whole lot of statistics to tell us about that guy who's sitting, who doesn't have a disability, maybe sitting in the cubicle next to you or the office down the corridor, who's on the internet all day or on the phone planning his weekend. So it doesn't take having a disability or not to be a productive worker in the workforce.
I believe that, like everything else, a disabled person needs opportunities and needs barriers removed and needs the ability, which comes from within, to get themselves up and get themselves moving.
I have students that are ready to go to work and meet industry standards. You have positions. I have support. Let's get together and put people to work. And that's the way you approach the business community. It's not hire the handicapped. It's hire people that have the ability to do the job. You have a business. You have positions. I have students. Let's get together and put these guys to work. And that's the way it's personal relationships with folks like this and all the other folks in this room. Our students have the ability to do these jobs. It's been proven every day in my county.
But when you go to Walter Reed, when you go over to Bethesda, and you see these young men and women that are coming back from combat zones who have lost their limbs, some of them have lost multiple limbs, and they're not looking for any sympathy. They're not looking for anyone to look at them as victims. What they're looking for you to see them as is for their heart and the dedication that they have, and the fact that with the medical technology that we have today, with prosthetics, they can, many of them, go right back into the military and continue to serve in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But most of them want you to see them for what they can do, not for what they cannot do. And I think that's the first and foremost thing that we must look at. We have to start looking at all Americans for what they can do and what they can accomplish, and not what they cannot do. And so I don't see it as disabilities. I see it as, how can we fit a person into whatever team? How can we fit a person into whatever business or organization? You know, one of the critical things that we're trying to do on the Committee on Small Business is to make sure that we can promote service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses. Because these are people that, you know, for whatever reason, they may have lost an arm, they may have lost a leg, but they have not lost their competence. They had not lost their drive and desire, skill and intellect, but most of all, they have not lost their determination to get out and be productive members of this society.
Stay tuned for more on building an all-inclusive workforce through leadership, the ultimate in business return on investment. Florida Independent Living Council's members are appointed by the governor, working together with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation and Blind Services in a united effort to break down the barriers of everyday life.
My family's counting on me. Do we rebuild? How can we go on? I'm so tired. Is it even worth it? I'm not sure I can be strong. How do I find a job? All the baby pictures, the kids' trophies, childcare, everything is gone. Mommy.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
The Americans with Disabilities Act began the civil rights change redefining the landscape of our cities. A law alone can't achieve attitudinal change and dispel myths towards persons with disabilities. This event brought personal experiences and proven leadership to communicate the importance of creating this awareness for the need for an all-inclusive workforce in the state of Florida. Attendees and viewers benefit from our upcoming featured guests.
I just wanted to make a lot of people in the room aware, if you're not aware, of what on-the-job training is through Voc Rehab. If you're a small business owner and you've heard anything here today that makes you think, maybe I want to try this, you know, but I'm just not sure yet. One of the things you might think about is that we offer a program through Voc Rehab called On-the-Job Training. It benefits you as a business owner tremendously. It benefits our customers.
Students going to work in a workplace, to train in the workplace, to learn job skills. Some of our students aren't articulate enough to go through a traditional job application process. But if they come to Mr. Levy's workplace, work there 2-3 days a week, a couple of hours a day, he can see this student develop the job skills, the social skills, and that's their job interview.
It takes a lot of work, and as Hillary Clinton always says, it takes a village. And it does take a village. It takes internal resources like your family. It takes your neighbors, and we have some good neighbors, Pat and I. It takes extended family, and sometimes your own family is your worst enemy, I may add. And I learned that from my good friend Molly, because we talked about family members and, gee, why don't they get it, you know? And so sometimes they don't get it, but we drip on them little by little by little. And sooner or later, they get it.
Today, I have to cover kind of two hats, both my agency's role as well as my success story as a person or as a leader in our community. So the Agency for Persons with Disabilities is just simply honored. The director, the governor, and all 30,000 of our customers that we serve directly and indirectly are just excited to be here because we're a part of this community. We're a part of this state, and we're a part of our country.
The second mandated service is to assist an individual with both individual and systemic advocacy. And that means if somebody comes in and they want to apply for services for vocational rehabilitation or get assistance in finding a job, get assistance in maneuvering some of the bureaucracy that's difficult, the Centers for Independent Living help that individual.
And the focal point of Voc Rehab is to help people with disabilities who want a job get into or get back into the workforce. So in terms of eligibility, it's real simple. You're a person with a disability. Disability presents barriers to employment, and you want to work. And then the last thing is there are things that VR can do to help you get into or back into the workforce.
I think that sensitivity training is another one. Rosalie has come in to our business and done some sensitivity training. I know I also go out with our manager meetings, and one of the ways that I will start out with all of my manager meetings is to ask people to raise their hand if they're comfortable, if either they have a close family member or a friend who has a disability. And I would say generally at least 80 if not 90% of the room will raise their hand. It's very unusual that someone does not raise their hand.
Of course, Publix's Partnership for Disability Mentoring Day certainly helped me to get more contacts than I ever had before. And then of course I became acquainted with Rosalie. And she was a great assistance to me, and I've been able to get more and more contacts with her. And Publix has also been very involved in community-based training with high school students.
Then my mother fought hard for me, begged at the management back in 1996 at the Hidden Valley Publix that for me to work in customer service, which I still worked for 15 years strong at public supermarkets as a customer service front-end bagger.
So the most important thing that we must do, especially when you look at all of these closed storefronts, and this is the horrible story of where we are in the United States of America, our small businesses are the backbone of our economy. And if we don't get those closed storefronts back open up, if we don't have the right type of tax and regulatory policies, the right types of access to capital through our financial sectors and financial institutions, especially our small community banks, so that we can provide opportunities to people that have an idea. That's the most important thing that we have to be able to do.
We also have the vision of taking the entrepreneurs that we're going to teach, take the best practices of our good friends and disability mentoring partners, CVS, Walmart, Publix, and have them somewhat articulate how good they have done in hiring people with disabilities and bring that forum to the table as well.
Each of you need to keep in mind that across this world, people with disabilities, right this very moment, are entrepreneurs, self-employed, factory workers, doctors, teachers, bus drivers, artists, TV fellows like Pat. Okay? We shape every role in the community. We can do literally anything.
We're public-private partnership in that the early stages are handled by the Boca Rehab employees, and then later when someone is ready to actually get out and find a job, look for a job, be coached on a job, we have private partners that we contract with. So it is very much a partnership, and we couldn't do our business without our partnership with the federal government and with all of our local contracted partners as well.
Until a company comes along and does something really, really, really cool to make things accessible. And God knows they don't need advertisements from me, but for any of you who have Apple products, iPhones, or iPads, when you have a little time, triple click that home button and watch what happens. Okay? That's a company that put something accessible into a product straight out of their box. And that's what I hope everybody, every manufacturer does with all their products henceforth.
We have to look at the fact that in the 18 to 24-year-old category, for veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, the unemployment rate is 24.1%. That's reprehensible. That's not acceptable. So we have to, first of all, look at those veterans. We have to look at all of those individuals across this country and see where can they be contributors. But at the federal government level, we have to make sure that we provide small business owners the incentives and the ability to grow and expand those businesses and hire those individuals so that everyone can have a good quality standard of living.
APD is committed to living, learning, and working. Those are our core sets of values. How to get there is working with folks like you, harnessing everything, because the state can't do it all, the feds can't do it, and quite frankly, each and every one of us probably don't want the state or the feds involved. We would like to be able to shepherd and guide our sons and daughters, our brothers and sisters, our moms and dads, our veterans who have served us honorably, back into a quality of life, back into a self-identity of making a contribution. Remember, the first thing people ask you, well, what do you do? 70% of America's disabled population cannot answer that question.
But job coaching, supported employment is something that we offer, meaning not just for a few weeks, but for an ongoing period of time. We can provide support in the workplace to have somebody help and coach and teach and ensure that your employee does learn and is trained appropriately to do whatever job you have.
The biggest thing about Centers for Independent Living is their cross-disability. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can be self-declare a disability, and the centers often catch folks who fall through other cracks. And it's a wonderful organization, and each center also is provided independent living training.
And then the big, big picture here is to teach small businesses that there is support services, Agency for Persons with Disabilities, as well as vocational rehabilitation that will work with you to help you have a successful outcome in your business.
Our office offers to employers, particularly, our technical assistance and whatever impact the disability may have on the workplace and how you can accommodate that. We will also pay for many of those accommodations. It is a myth that most accommodations are very, very expensive and it's going to be a burden and a drain on your business. That's not true. Most accommodations are fairly inexpensive, but regardless of whether they're expensive or inexpensive, we can help you identify what those are and provide technical assistance in that regard, but we'll also help you pay for them to get you started in the right path.
With the assistance of vocational rehabilitation and the Department of Education, the Division of Blind Services, the centers, there are 16 here in the state of Florida. Each center also provides their own specialty. they provide a myriad of services that are based on what their community has requested that they need and that they are able to provide.
And that's what happens when a person with disabilities gets a job. Their whole entire life changes.
So you see that pride, that hope. Now you take one opportunity that Publix gave him and it opens up a whole world. So we all can open up the whole world for people with disabilities by giving them one job opportunity. A special thanks to Palm Beach State College Boca Raton campus and the Small Business Development Center for hosting this event. Best practices and recruiting tips from large corporations and success stories from government agencies on our panel were all the leaders who introduced resources that advance job placement, on-the-job training, and employment coaching. This new venture of combined leadership educated businesses to employ the talents and contributions of a job seeker with a disability and help businesses grow with low or no turnover. Will the solutions to this show's issues help you or a loved one? Find shows like this and others on our website at roselyarchershow.com.